Number 8. Among the many unusual automobiles created during the Cold War era, few look as mysterious or unconventional as the Tatra 603. Produced in the former Czechoslovakia by the historic manufacturer Tatra, the 603 stood apart from nearly every other sedan of its time. At a moment when most cars around the world followed traditional shapes, with large chrome grilles and simple three-box designs, the Tatra looked almost like something that had quietly arrived from the future. When the car first appeared in the mid-1950s, it immediately shocked anyone who saw it. Its body was smooth, rounded, and dramatically aerodynamic, almost resembling a teardrop gliding through the air. The roofline curved gently toward the rear, the sides flowed smoothly without heavy ornamentation, and the front nose was almost completely smooth. Parked next to the square American sedans or conservative European family cars of the same period, the Tatra seemed decades ahead of contemporary design trends. One of the reasons the car looked so unusual was the engineering philosophy behind it. Unlike most luxury sedans of the era, the Tatra 603 used a rear-mounted, air-cooled V8. This unusual layout was not a random experiment. Tatra had been developing aerodynamic rear-engine cars since the 1930s, long before many other manufacturers considered the concept seriously. The design philosophy was heavily influenced by the brilliant Austrian engineer Hans Ledwinka, who had worked with Tatra before World War II. Ledwinka believed that aerodynamics and efficient packaging were the keys to modern automotive design. His earlier creations had already introduced streamlined shapes and rear-mounted engines decades before such ideas became widely accepted. By the time the Tatra 603 was introduced, this philosophy had evolved into something truly distinctive. The air-cooled V8 engine sat behind the rear axle, producing a deep mechanical sound that was very different from the typical front-engine luxury sedans of the period. The engine was compact, but surprisingly powerful for its size, giving the car respectable performance despite its relatively modest displacement. But perhaps the most unforgettable feature of the early Tatra 603 was its strange front end. Instead of the typical two headlights placed at the corners of the car, the earliest versions featured three headlights grouped closely together in the center of the nose. The result was a design that looked almost alive. Some observers joked that the car resembled a giant metallic insect staring out at the road with three glowing eyes. This unusual lighting arrangement gave the car a surreal personality, especially at night. When the headlights illuminated a dark highway, the three beams created a distinctive pattern that instantly identified the vehicle as a Tatra. Later versions of the car eventually adopted a more conventional four-headlight design, but the early three-headlight configuration remains the most famous and recognizable version today. The body design of the Tatra 603 was also remarkably aerodynamic. Engineers carefully shaped the curved surfaces to reduce air resistance, which helped improve both speed and efficiency. The rear of the car featured a gentle slope rather than a flat trunk, allowing airflow to pass smoothly over the body. Because the engine sat in the rear, the front of the car contained a luggage compartment rather than mechanical components. This unusual layout contributed to the vehicle's unique proportions and helped create the distinctive long curved nose. However, the Tatra 603 was not a car that ordinary citizens could easily purchase. In the political environment of Cold War Eastern Europe, the car was considered a prestigious government vehicle. Most examples were reserved for high-ranking officials, government administrators, and party leaders within Czechoslovakia and other countries within the Eastern Bloc. As a result, the average person rarely saw one on the road. For many citizens, the appearance of a Tatra 603 meant that an important government figure was nearby. This exclusivity gave the car an almost mythical reputation. Production numbers were relatively small compared with mass-produced Western cars. Only a few thousand were built over the course of its production run. Each car was assembled with a level of care that reflected its intended status as a luxury vehicle for political elites. Even though being produced behind the Iron Curtain, the Tatra 603 demonstrated impressive engineering sophistication. Its air-cooled engine design eliminated the need for a conventional radiator, which simplified the mechanical system and reduced the risk of freezing in harsh winter climates. The independent suspension helped provide a comfortable ride even on rough roads. However, the rear engine layout also created unusual handling characteristics. Because much of the car's weight sat behind the rear axle, the vehicle could become unstable during sudden maneuvers if the driver was inexperienced. Skilled drivers learned to handle the car carefully, especially at higher speeds. Even with these quirks, many people who drove the car admired its character. Owners often described it as smooth, comfortable, and unlike anything else on the road. Its unusual engine sound and futuristic shape made it feel special every time it appeared. Today, the Tatra 603 is considered one of the most fascinating automobiles ever produced in Eastern Europe. Collectors and automotive historians admire it not only for its rarity, but also for its bold design philosophy. The car represents a moment in history when engineers working behind political and economic barriers still managed to create something truly original. Its strange three-headlight face, sweeping aerodynamic body, and rear-mounted V8 engine make it one of the most distinctive luxury sedans ever built. Even decades later, the Tatra 603 still looks futuristic. Park it beside many modern cars and its flowing curves and unusual proportions continue to draw attention. It remains a reminder that innovation in automotive design has appeared in unexpected places throughout history. And among all the strange and rare vehicles of the 20th century, the Tatra 603 stands proudly as one of the most unusual luxury sedans ever created. Car.
Number 7. At first glance, the Checker Marathon might look like an ordinary old car, but its story is deeply connected with the history of American cities and the unique world of taxi transportation. Built by the small but determined manufacturer Checker Motors Corporation, the Marathon eventually became one of the most recognizable taxi vehicles ever produced in the United States. For decades, if someone imagined a traditional American cab cruising through busy streets, the image that came to mind was often a Checker. When people encounter the Marathon outside of its usual taxi environment, however, the car can seem strangely unusual. Compared with the sleek and stylish sedans produced by larger automakers during the same era, the Checker looks almost industrial. Its tall roofline, square body panels, and upright proportions make it appear larger and more utilitarian than most passenger cars. The design was never intended to compete with fashionable automobiles from companies like Ford Motor Company or General Motors. Instead, the Marathon was engineered with a completely different goal in mind: durability. Taxi companies needed vehicles that could survive years of constant use, rough city streets, and nearly continuous operation. While a typical family sedan might be driven for a few hours each day, a taxi often operated almost around the clock. Because of this demanding role, the engineers at Checker Motors Corporation built the Marathon to be extremely strong. The frame was heavy and robust, the suspension was designed to handle rough roads, and the body panels were thick and sturdy. The tall roofline served a practical purpose as well. Passengers could easily step in and out without bending down, and there was plenty of headroom inside. The spacious interior became one of the car's greatest strengths. Taxi passengers appreciated the wide rear seat and generous legroom, especially compared with the smaller interiors of many competing sedans. Luggage space was also generous, making the car ideal for transporting travelers and their suitcases. Another key reason for the Marathon's long life was its simple mechanical design. Instead of relying on complex proprietary engines, the company often used reliable components supplied by larger manufacturers. Over the years, the car was equipped with engines sourced from companies such as Chevrolet. These engines were widely available, relatively easy to repair, and familiar to mechanics across the country. This approach made the Marathon extremely practical for fleet operators. Taxi companies could maintain and repair their vehicles without needing specialized parts or complicated servicing procedures. When a component wore out after years of hard use, it could often be replaced quickly and inexpensively. The rugged design meant that many Marathons survived astonishingly long careers. It was not uncommon for a taxi to accumulate hundreds of thousands of miles during its service life. Drivers often joked that the cars seemed almost indestructible. One longtime taxi operator once described the vehicle by saying, "It wasn't pretty, but it would outlive almost anything else on the road." Over time, the Checker Marathon became deeply associated with American city life. In places like New York, Chicago, and other major urban centers, the boxy silhouette of a Checker taxi became a familiar sight. Tourists arriving in busy airports or train stations often stepped into one without realizing they were entering a vehicle that represented a unique chapter of automotive history. Despite its reputation as a taxi, the Marathon was also available to private buyers. Some people purchased them as personal vehicles because they admired the durability and practicality. Families appreciated the roomy interior, while small businesses liked the ability to carry passengers or cargo with ease. However, outside the taxi industry, the Marathon's unusual appearance sometimes puzzled buyers. In an era when most car manufacturers competed to create sleek, stylish designs filled with chrome and sweeping body lines, the Checker looked almost stubbornly functional. Its flat surfaces and tall proportions gave it the appearance of a machine designed by engineers rather than stylists. Yet that very simplicity eventually became part of the car's charm. As the decades passed and most other cars evolved through dramatic styling changes, the Marathon remained largely the same. This consistency made it instantly recognizable, almost like a moving symbol of urban transportation. Production of the Marathon continued for many years, long after many competing designs had disappeared. The car's long lifespan reflected both its durability and the loyalty of taxi operators who relied on it. Today, the Checker Marathon has become a fascinating collector's item. Enthusiasts appreciate it not only as a car, but also as a cultural artifact representing a particular moment in American urban life. Seeing one restored today often brings back memories of crowded city streets, flashing taxi lights, and the constant rhythm of metropolitan life. Collectors are drawn to the Marathon's distinctive personality. It may not have the elegance of a luxury sedan or the speed of a sports car, but it possesses something equally valuable: authenticity. The car tells a story about work, endurance, and the everyday life of American cities during the 20th century. Parked among sleek modern vehicles, the Checker's tall roof, square shape, and sturdy stance still make it stand out immediately. What once seemed plain or even awkward now appears charmingly honest, a reminder that some vehicles were designed not for fashion or status, but simply to do their job better than anything else. For that reason, the Checker Marathon remains one of the most unusual and historically important American cars ever built. It may have spent much of its life carrying passengers through crowded city streets, but today it carries something even more valuable: the legacy of a time when durability and practicality shaped one of the most recognizable vehicles in American automotive history.
Number 6. When the NSU Ro 80 first appeared in the late 1960s, it looked so advanced that many people assumed it was a concept car rather than a real production vehicle. Built by the German manufacturer NSU Motoren Works, the Ro 80 immediately stood apart from nearly every other sedan on the road. At a time when most cars still relied on upright shapes, heavy chrome trim, and conservative proportions, the Ro 80 seemed to glide into the automotive world from the future. Its design was astonishingly modern. The body featured smooth, flowing lines and a low aerodynamic profile that gave the car a sleek, almost aero-like appearance. The front end was clean and simple, lacking the large chrome grills that were common during the era. Instead, the Ro 80 used subtle air openings and carefully sculpted panels to create a look that emphasized efficiency and modernity. From the side, the car looked remarkably balanced. The roofline was low and elegant, the glass area was large, and the body surfaces were free from unnecessary decoration. The proportions gave the Ro 80 an almost futuristic elegance. When parked next to typical family sedans of the late 1960s, the difference was dramatic.
Many observers felt that the Ro 80 looked like a car from the 1980s that had somehow appeared a decade early. However, the most revolutionary aspect of the car was hidden beneath its smooth exterior. Instead of a traditional piston engine, the NSU Ro 80 used a rotary power plant based on the concept known as the Wankel engine. This unusual engine design had been developed by German engineer Felix Wankel. Unlike conventional engines, which use pistons moving up and down inside cylinders, the Wankel engine uses a triangular rotor that spins inside a specially shaped chamber. As the rotor turns, it creates the necessary stages of intake, compression, combustion, and exhaust in a continuous rotary motion. This design offered several theoretical advantages. Because the engine contained far fewer moving parts than a conventional piston engine, it was expected to run more smoothly and require less maintenance. The compact size of the rotary engine also allowed engineers to package it efficiently within the car, helping maintain the Ro 80's low and aerodynamic shape. In practice, the rotary engine did deliver some impressive benefits. The power delivery was extremely smooth, and the engine produced very little vibration compared with traditional piston engines. Drivers often commented on how refined the car felt while cruising at highway speeds. The Ro 80 seemed to glide effortlessly along the road, reinforcing its futuristic personality. The car also featured other advanced technologies for its time. The suspension was carefully engineered to provide a comfortable ride while maintaining good stability. The steering and braking systems were designed to match the car's modern performance, giving drivers a sense that they were operating something truly innovative. When the Ro 80 was introduced in 1967, the automotive world recognized its significance almost immediately. The car's combination of advanced engineering and modern styling impressed journalists and industry experts alike. In fact, the NSU Ro 80 was awarded the prestigious European Car of the Year title shortly after its debut. Yet, despite its groundbreaking design, the Ro 80 soon encountered serious problems. The early versions of the rotary engine suffered from reliability issues, particularly involving the sealing components that allowed the rotor to maintain compression inside the chamber. These components wore out more quickly than expected, leading to reduced engine performance and, in some cases, complete failure. For many owners, these mechanical problems appeared surprisingly early in the car's life. Some engines required major repairs or replacement after relatively low mileage. Although NSU Motorant Works worked hard to improve the design and often replaced engines under warranty, the damage to the car's reputation had already begun. Stories about engine failures spread quickly among consumers and journalists. As a result, potential buyers became hesitant to invest in a car that seemed technologically exciting but potentially unreliable. The financial consequences for the company were severe. The cost of repairing and replacing engines placed enormous strain on NSU's resources. Eventually, these difficulties contributed to major changes within the German automotive industry. The struggling company was ultimately absorbed into a larger organization that would later become part of Audi under the umbrella of Volkswagen Group. Despite its troubled history, the Ro 80 never lost its reputation as one of the most forward-thinking sedans of its era. Many automotive historians now view it as a brilliant but overly ambitious experiment. The designers and engineers behind the car had attempted to leap far ahead of conventional technology, and although the result was not perfect, it demonstrated remarkable courage and creativity. Today, the NSU Ro 80 is admired for its bold vision. Its aerodynamic styling still appears modern even decades after its introduction. In fact, many design elements that seemed radical in the late 1960s later became common in automobiles during the following decades. Collectors and enthusiasts now appreciate the Ro 80 as a symbol of innovation. It represents a moment when engineers dared to challenge traditional automotive thinking and experiment with entirely new mechanical concepts. Even with its reliability problems, the Ro 80 remains one of the most fascinating cars ever produced in Europe. Its smooth, futuristic body, unusual rotary engine, and ambitious engineering ensure that it will always be remembered as a daring attempt to redefine what a modern sedan could be. Number 5. When the tiny Subaru 360 first appeared on the roads of Japan in the late 1950s, it looked almost unbelievable to people who were used to large, heavy automobiles. Built by the company Subaru, the little car seemed more like a toy or a cartoon vehicle than a serious machine designed for daily transportation. Its rounded body, tiny wheels, and incredibly compact proportions made it look almost comical when compared with the massive chrome-covered sedans that dominated American roads during the same era. At a time when the United States was producing enormous cars with powerful V8 engines and long sweeping bodies, the Subaru 360 represented an entirely different philosophy of transportation. It was extremely small, extremely lightweight, and powered by a tiny engine that produced only a modest amount of power. Yet, despite its modest performance, the car played a crucial role in the development of Japan's post-war automotive industry. The story of the Subaru 360 begins in the difficult years following World War II. Japan was rebuilding its economy and infrastructure, and most people simply could not afford large or expensive automobiles. Roads in many cities were narrow and crowded, and fuel was costly. Under these conditions, a new kind of vehicle began to emerge, one designed to be extremely affordable, efficient, and compact. This concept became known as the K car, a category of small vehicles created under Japanese government regulations to encourage affordable transportation. The Subaru 360 was designed specifically to meet these requirements, making it one of the most important early examples of the K car concept. The design of the Subaru 360 emphasized simplicity and efficiency above everything else. The car's body was rounded and lightweight, which helped reduce weight and improve fuel economy. The entire vehicle weighed only a fraction of what most conventional cars weighed at the time. This meant that even a very small engine could move the car reasonably well through city streets. Mounted at the rear of the car was a tiny two-cylinder engine that produced just enough power to keep the little vehicle moving. Although it was not fast by any conventional standard, it provided adequate performance for urban driving. For many drivers navigating crowded streets and short daily commutes, speed was far less important than affordability and efficiency. The car's appearance also contributed to its unusual reputation. With its rounded roofline, small circular headlights, and compact proportions, the Subaru 360 almost resembled a small insect or cartoon character rolling down the road. In Japan, it earned the affectionate nickname Ladybug because of its shape and size. Inside, the car was surprisingly practical considering its tiny dimensions. The simple interior offered seating for 4 passengers, although the space was quite tight by Western standards. Still, for many families in post-war Japan, owning a car of any kind was an enormous step forward in personal mobility. While the Subaru 360 was perfectly suited to the narrow streets and dense cities of Japan, its appearance caused confusion when it was introduced to other markets. When Americans first encountered the car during the late 1960s, many were shocked by how unbelievably small it seemed. Compared with the enormous American sedans produced by companies such as Ford Motor Company and General Motors, the Subaru 360 looked almost like a child's toy parked next to full-size automobiles. Drivers who were accustomed to large engines and wide highways often struggled to understand how such a tiny car could function as everyday transportation. Some critics even questioned whether the little car was safe enough for American roads, which were dominated by large and powerful vehicles. These concerns made it difficult for the Subaru 360 to gain widespread acceptance in the United States. However, in Japan, the story was very different. The car quickly became extremely popular because it met the needs of ordinary people perfectly. It was affordable, economical, and easy to drive in crowded urban environments where parking space was limited. For many families, the Subaru 360 represented their first opportunity to own a personal automobile. Instead of relying on public transportation or bicycles, they could now travel independently across towns and cities.
This sense of freedom made the car enormously important in the daily lives of its owners. The success of the Subaru 360 helped establish Subaru as a serious participant in the automotive industry. The experience gained from producing this small car would later contribute to the company's development of more advanced vehicles and technologies. Over time, the Subaru 360 became more than just a practical transportation tool. It evolved into a symbol of Japan's economic recovery and industrial progress during the post-war period. The little car demonstrated that innovative engineering and careful design could produce useful vehicles even with limited resources. Today, the Subaru 360 is remembered as one of the most charming and historically significant small cars ever built. Collectors and enthusiasts admire its simple design, friendly appearance, and the important role it played in shaping Japan's automotive future. When people see one today, they often smile at its tiny proportions and rounded shape. Yet behind that playful appearance lies an important chapter of automotive history, a moment when a small and humble car helped an entire nation take an important step forward in mobility and technological development. Even decades later, the Subaru 360 continues to remind the world that sometimes the smallest cars can leave the biggest impact on the history of transportation.
Number 4. The Austin Allegro is remembered as one of the most peculiar and divisive cars to come out of Britain during the 1970s. Built by British Leyland, the Allegro was meant to replace the aging Austin 1100 and compete in the increasingly competitive small family car segment. From the very beginning, however, it became famous, and often infamous, for its unconventional styling and strange engineering choices that made it stand out in a crowded market of more conservative designs. The most immediately noticeable quirk of the Allegro was its so-called quartic steering wheel, a rounded square design that many drivers found awkward and uncomfortable. While intended to improve visibility of the dashboard and make entry and exit easier, the steering wheel quickly became a symbol of the car's eccentricity. Sitting behind the wheel of an Allegro could feel like navigating a vehicle built in another dimension, and drivers often commented on how unusual it felt compared with the traditional circular wheel. Styling-wise, the Allegro had proportions that were, let's say, unconventional. Its body often appeared bloated or inflated, with a high roofline and a relatively narrow track, giving it an oddly squashed appearance. The rear hatch was short and upright, contributing to a visual impression that the car had been slightly melted or inflated unevenly in a cartoonish oven. The front grille was small and unassuming, which made the unusual shape of the body even more pronounced. Critics didn't hold back. Some said it looked like a modernist experiment gone wrong, while others joked that it resembled a mobile air bubble. Underneath the unusual exterior, the Allegro was mechanically simple, with modest engines designed for economy rather than excitement. Despite its odd appearance, the car offered reasonable interior space, comfortable seats, and a practical layout for a small family. The ride quality was surprisingly compliant, with soft suspension that gave it a floating feeling on smooth roads, though the same suspension made cornering feel peculiar and somewhat unstable. Production numbers were significant. Thousands of Allegros rolled off the factory line, making it one of the most common British oddities of its decade. Despite this, it gained a reputation for quality problems and reliability issues, which only amplified its strangeness in the eyes of the public. Owners often developed a love-hate relationship with the car, appreciating the practical aspects, while simultaneously acknowledging that its appearance and certain design quirks were hard to defend. For enthusiasts and collectors today, the Austin Allegro occupies a curious place in automotive history. It is celebrated less for performance or elegance, and more for its singular character and the bold, if sometimes misguided, design choices that made it unmistakably British. A former driver once remarked, "It wasn't pretty, it wasn't fast, but it was never boring. Every time you saw an Allegro, you knew you were looking at something truly unique." The Allegro stands as a reminder that not every design choice is meant to be conventional. Sometimes a car becomes memorable precisely because it dared to be different,
even if that difference was occasionally awkward, confusing, or downright hilarious.
Number 3. The Panhard PL-17 is one of the most extraordinary examples of how European automakers approached innovation in the early 1960s. Unlike the conventional, boxy sedans dominating the roads at the time, the PL-17 looked like a futuristic sculpture brought to life, blending aerodynamic experimentation with a tiny, efficient drivetrain. Panhard had already made a name for itself as a small-scale innovator in the automotive world, often producing cars that defied convention with advanced engineering and a focus on fuel economy, and the PL-17 was perhaps the pinnacle of that approach. Visually, the PL-17 is striking for its combination of narrow width and soaring roofline. Its tall, rounded cabin gave the impression that the car had been stretched upward rather than built horizontally, creating an almost whimsical profile. The gently curving fenders and sloped rear end gave the car a smooth, cohesive look that was extraordinarily rare in the early 1960s, when sharp edges and boxy silhouettes dominated European streets. The front end, adorned with a small, understated grille and subtle chrome accents, appears almost shy in comparison to the body's expansive curves, letting the car's unusual proportions speak for themselves. The rear features a tapered tail that seems to float above the road, giving the car an aerodynamic elegance unmatched by contemporaries such as the Citroën Ami or Renault Dauphine. Observers often remarked that the PL-17 resembled a rubberized submarine gliding along the pavement, and its unusual shape made it stand out dramatically, even in cities familiar with unconventional French designs. Underneath its futuristic exterior, the PL-17 was a marvel of efficiency and innovation. Most models were powered by a small, air-cooled flat twin engine producing roughly 59 horsepower, a figure that seems laughably modest by modern standards, but was adequate for the car's feather-light weight. The combination of low weight and clever engineering allowed the PL-17 to achieve fuel efficiency numbers that were exceptional for its era, often exceeding 35 miles per gallon, far higher than most contemporary European or American sedans. The car also featured a fully independent suspension, giving it a smooth, almost gliding ride that made city streets and rural backroads equally manageable. Drivers often commented on the light, precise steering and the vehicle's surprising agility despite its tall, narrow frame. Longtime owners would recall the sensation of piloting a car that felt like it was floating rather than rolling along the road, a feeling enhanced by the quiet, air-cooled engine and minimalist interior. The interior of the PL-17 matched its external strangeness with a practical, space-maximizing layout. The tall roofline provided generous headroom, making the cabin feel far larger than the car's footprint suggested. The dashboard was simple and functional, with controls arranged for ease of use rather than elegance, reflecting Panhardt's philosophy of practicality over excess. Even with the modest two-cylinder engine, the cabin could accommodate 4 adults comfortably, a remarkable feat for such a compact, unusual vehicle. While some buyers found the interior austere, others appreciated its clever use of space and the sense of openness created by the high roof and large windows. Despite its advanced design and thoughtful engineering, the PL-17 struggled to win universal approval. Its unconventional aesthetics were polarizing, and many buyers outside of France were baffled by the car's narrow stance, tall roofline, and aerodynamic body. To casual observers, the car could seem awkward, almost comically disproportionate, earning nicknames such as the floating coffin or tin can on stilts. Yet to enthusiasts and forward-thinking buyers, these very qualities were a source of charm and innovation, demonstrating a commitment to efficiency, safety, and futuristic styling rarely seen at the time. The PL-17 was also well regarded for its practical engineering choices, such as monocoque construction, which reduced weight and increased rigidity, and a simple yet durable drivetrain that could endure years of careful use without the frequent failures that plagued many other small European cars of the era. Production of the PL-17 was modest, reinforcing its status as a rare and unusual vehicle. It was primarily purchased by professionals, families, and government workers who appreciated its economy and practicality, but its outlandish styling ensured that it never became a mainstream hit.
Nevertheless, the car left a lasting mark on automotive history, influencing later French designs that sought to combine aerodynamic efficiency with clever interior packaging. Collectors today prize the PL17 for its singular combination of advanced engineering, rare production, and audacious styling. Today, many preserved examples still capture attention at vintage car shows, where spectators marvel at how a car that looks like it came from a science fiction novel could have been sold as an everyday family sedan. One longtime owner described the experience of driving a PL17. "It feels like piloting a little spaceship. The engine is modest, but the car is alive with its own character. You never forget that you're in something completely different, something that was decades ahead of its time." In many ways, the PL17 embodies the French spirit of automotive daring, prioritizing innovation, efficiency, and originality over conformity, and daring to create a vehicle that remains unforgettable more than half a century later. Today, the Panhard PL17 stands not just as a car, but as a testament to a time when small manufacturers could take enormous creative risks, producing vehicles that were strange, efficient, futuristic, and entirely singular in the history of the automobile.
Number 2. The AMC Pacer is a car that defies convention in almost every way, and understanding it requires looking at the era, the philosophy behind its design, and the extraordinary lengths AMC went to create something both practical and entirely unlike anything else on the road. Introduced in 1975, the Pacer was born during a turbulent period in the automotive industry. Rising fuel prices, the influx of compact imported cars from Europe and Japan, and changing consumer expectations all pushed American manufacturers to rethink what a small car could be. AMC, a smaller automaker compared with the Detroit giants, decided to take a bold approach. Not just to make a car small, but to make a car that redefined what compact could mean in terms of interior space, visibility, and futuristic appeal. From the first glance, the Pacer's wide, rounded bubble shape stands out. Unlike other compact cars of the mid-1970s, which often emphasized economy over style, the Pacer looked almost playful. Yet its form was deliberate. Engineers intentionally made the car unusually wide for its short length. This decision allowed it to feel spacious inside, offering comfort for up to 5 passengers in a cabin that felt far larger than its exterior dimensions suggested. The design also meant that the car sat firmly on the road, giving a sense of stability unusual for compacts of the time, though its squat appearance and exaggerated curves made it feel almost like a cartoonish interpretation of automotive design. The nickname Flying Fishbowl quickly emerged among both fans and critics, highlighting just how dramatically different it appeared. What truly set the Pacer apart from its contemporaries, however, was its incredible glass house. The designers covered more surface area with glass than almost any other American car of its era. The windshield curved upward far into the roofline. The side windows were enormous, and the rear wraparound glass gave the car a panoramic view. The effect was extraordinary. Passengers felt as if they were inside a floating cockpit rather than a traditional sedan. But all that glass brought practical challenges as well. In sunlight, the interior could heat up dramatically, making early air conditioning systems essential, and the weight of the extra glass made the car slightly heavier than other compacts, affecting fuel economy and performance. The doors, particularly the longer passenger side door, were designed with ergonomics in mind. Entering and exiting the rear seat was easier than in many other two-door cars, a thoughtful but unusual feature that reinforced the Pacer's identity as a family-friendly compact. Mechanically, the Pacer was straightforward but reliable, built with the everyday driver in mind rather than speed enthusiasts. Front-wheel drive layouts were standard, with inline 6 or 4-cylinder engines under the hood. The car offered a smooth, stable ride with predictable handling, though the wide proportions made cornering and parking a slightly unusual experience for drivers used to narrower American cars. Owners often describe the sensation of driving the Pacer as peculiar yet comforting. You could see everything, move comfortably, and feel connected to the road, even if onlookers were staring at a car that seemed to float above it.
The interior, while simple, emphasized space and practicality over flair. Bench seating, generous legroom, and surprisingly good headroom made the Pacer unusually comfortable for a compact two-door, further setting it apart from competitors. The reception of the Pacer when it first hit the market was a mix of intrigue, amusement, and skepticism. Its appearance polarized buyers. Some were captivated by its daring design, enjoying the futuristic styling that looked as if it had been plucked from a science fiction concept drawing. Others could not get past its rounded proportions, oversized windows, and stubby overall length. Critics were vocal, often comparing it to a large fishbowl, a bubble, or even a rolling greenhouse. Yet despite, or perhaps because of its controversial styling, the Pacer carved out a loyal following. People who owned Pacers appreciated that AMC had taken risks when larger manufacturers were content with conventional designs. For many, it wasn't just a car, it was a statement, a symbol of daring creativity in an industry dominated by safe cookie-cutter models. In the end, the AMC Pacer stands as one of the most unusual and forward-thinking American cars of the 1970s. Its wide bubble shape, massive glass house, and thoughtful yet unconventional interior make it a fascinating study in design and ergonomics. It may never have been the fastest or the most popular, but it achieved something far more enduring. It captured the imagination, challenged perceptions of what a compact car could be, and remains a shining example of AMC's willingness to take risks and innovate during a time when few dared to. The Pacer's story is as much about daring to be different as it is about transportation, and that is why more than 40 years later, it continues to inspire fascination and affection among car enthusiasts and casual observers alike.
Number 1. The Renault Avantime stands as one of the most audacious and misunderstood vehicles of modern automotive history, a car that dared to challenge the rigid categories that dominate the car industry. When it debuted in 2001, Renault seemed to ask a question no other manufacturer would consider. What if a car could blend the elegance and sportiness of a coupe with the interior space, comfort, and versatility of a minivan, while creating an entirely new category that had never existed before? Few vehicles have so visibly defied convention, and few have been so quickly dismissed by the general public, despite embodying a bold, forward-thinking vision. Externally, the Avantime is immediately striking. Its proportions are unlike anything else from the early 2000s. A low, sweeping front end suggests agility, yet the body rises in a tall, airy cabin that maximizes interior space. From the side, the car's coupe-like profile is interrupted by a substantial glass house that gives passengers unparalleled visibility, stretching from the doors almost into the roof. These enormous, pillarless doors create an impression of openness rare in production cars, and, when opened, reveal an interior that feels less like a traditional cabin and more like a personal lounge or observatory. Designers clearly intended the Avantime to provide not just transport, but an experience, a feeling of connection to the outside world as the vehicle glides down the road. The interior itself is as radical as the exterior. The seats are ergonomically arranged for both comfort and a commanding view, with the front seats positioned to allow passengers a broad perspective through the vast side windows and panoramic glass roof. Controls and instrumentation are intuitively laid out, borrowing cues from Renault's other contemporary models, but emphasizing luxury and accessibility. In many ways, the Avantime was almost a rolling architectural statement, a car whose cabin was conceived to evoke feelings of space, freedom, and light. Every element of the interior, from the materials to the angles of the dashboard, was designed to reinforce the impression that this was not an ordinary vehicle. Mechanically, the Avantime relied on tried-and-true Renault components, sharing engines and drivetrain platforms with models like the Renault Espace. Yet, despite these conventional underpinnings, the Avantime felt extraordinary on the road. Its handling was smooth, the ride comfortable, and the cabin remarkably quiet. Drivers who spent time behind the wheel often commented that it felt like piloting a premium vehicle from another dimension. It didn't scream for attention, but the combination of its light-filled cabin, unusual proportions, and commanding seating position created a driving experience unlike anything else on the streets.
Yet, the very boldness of the design, the refusal to conform to familiar shapes or silhouettes, made it difficult for the mainstream market to embrace. One of the most remarkable elements of the Avantime was how it blurred conventional definitions of car categories. It wasn't truly a coupe, nor a minivan, nor a wagon wagon. It was all three at once, and yet fully none of them. This caused confusion in the market. Traditional buyers often struggled to rationalize why they would need or want a vehicle that didn't fit neatly into a known segment. Critics sometimes derided its proportions, noting that the long, sweeping lines and unusually tall cabin made it appear ungainly or alien on the road. Yet for enthusiasts who could see past the initial shock, the Avantime was a masterclass in daring design and automotive storytelling, a car that prioritized concept and vision over safe, predictable sales. Commercially, the Avantime struggled as a result. With fewer than 9,000 units produced before production ended in 2003, the Avantime quickly vanished from showrooms. Yet this rarity has only added to its mystique in the years since, elevating it from a commercial failure to a cult classic. Owners who cherish the Avantime often emphasize its originality, describing the car as an extraordinary conversation piece, a vehicle that provokes reactions wherever it appears. One devoted collector humorously remarked, "It's like driving a spaceship among SUVs and hatchbacks. Everyone stares, and nobody knows what it is, but you don't care." Today, the Renault Avantime is remembered not for its sales figures, but for its audacity. It is a testament to a period in automotive history when designers dared to question assumptions and push boundaries, combining futuristic aesthetics with practical engineering in a single package. Its dramatic glass roof, pillarless doors, and hybridized coupe minivan shape make it instantly recognizable, while its rarity ensures that it continues to fascinate car enthusiasts around the world. More than just a car, the Avantime represents a philosophy that automotive design can aspire to be art, experience, and statement all at once, even if the world isn't ready to fully embrace it. In retrospect, the Renault Avantime is celebrated precisely because it was too far ahead of its time. While it confounded conventional buyers and bewildered dealerships, it now stands as one of the most daring and unusual vehicles ever produced by a major manufacturer, a car that refused to follow rules and in doing so earned its place in automotive history as a true icon of originality and imagination. Its story is a reminder that the boldest designs are often misunderstood in their own era, only to be revered decades later by those who recognize their genius.